Why are your clients disengaging and what can you do about it? Because client disengagement can be super frustrating, leaving you filled with a sense of doubt, questioning the value of your work, and it's really hard not to take it personally. Understanding why this happens is the first step to creating a program that your clients feel excited and motivated to participate in consistently. And in today's live session, I'm going to be diving into the top reasons why your clients disengage and what to do about it. I read a post in the Facebook community this week about low call attendance, and the responses didn't surprise me, but it did frustrate me just a little bit. You see, low engagement has become normalized in group offers because that's what the industry average bar has been set at. The clients are too busy, they'll choose what's most relevant for them. And the ones that attend, it's great for because they get closer proximity to you without as much competition. They're happy to invest and not do the work. You can't force people to attend. Trust that they're getting what they need. But actually, all of these stories and all this narrative isn't really helpful if you're not getting curious, if you're not asking why is this happening, tracking the data, and actually talking to your people and getting the feedback to actually know what's really going on. If you're not asking those questions, it's just guesswork and you're blindly following the client's responsibility, kind of not mine storyline. And if you want to be that industry leader, the go-to expert in your niche, it's not enough to settle for that 13 to 20% industry average success rate. If you want to support the majority of your clients, and I'm talking like 80% plus here, to get the results you promised them in your marketing, you need to challenge the common narrative. You need to get curious and you need to understand what is going on for your people. So let's start by exploring the most common reasons why clients tend to disengage, because knowing this will help you to anticipate the issues and actually put in strategies and steps to stop it from happening. So the first core reason is that your clients are overwhelmed by content. So much of the advice on group program, group offer creation comes down to how much value can you add, how many calls can you add, how many videos can you add. And actually our clients end up feeling lost if the content or our expectations of them and the amount of work that they're going to be able to do feels overwhelming. As soon as they feel overwhelmed, they are going to go into shutdown mode. They're going to retreat, and trying to get them back, trying to re-engage them from that point becomes much harder than if we can kind of sustain that initial engagement, that initial excitement that they had when they first signed up. The second thing is actually a lack of progress tracking and knowing whether or not they are taking the steps that are going to get them to the victory, to get them to the result that you promised them. If they cannot see that progress, if you're not helping them to recognize the small wins for the big success that they are going to lose their motivation. So having clear progress tracking really helps here. And then the third thing is around a low relevance. This might be that it's too easy, it might be too hard, it might be not what they expected it to be. But if they see and perceive that what you're teaching, the sessions, the calls, the content that you're putting together for them is irrelevant in terms of how they actually achieve their goals, they will lose interest and tune out. So we've got overwhelm, lack of clear progress indicators, and a low relevance. All of these will become sticking points for our clients and will lead to them tuning out. So quick reflection point, thinking about your own offer. Have you noticed any signs of these issues? Like, have you noticed clients kind of starting really strong and then just kind of vanishing because they've become overwhelmed, they've become stuck by the content? Do you actually have a means by which your clients can track their progress and celebrate their success? Have people said to you, this is too hard, this is too easy, I need extra support? What might that look like for you in your program? So how do we get around this? How do we shift from overwhelm, from lack of progress tracking, lack of knowing whether or not we're winning, into a program that helps to motivate and engage our clients throughout the journey, throughout the process? Because the longer your program goes on for, the more you need to consider this. Motivation naturally wanes over time, particularly if there is not that hit of, yes, I'm succeeding, yes, I'm winning, yes, I'm making progress. So the first thing that we want to do is actually to simplify and focus our content. I refer to this as the path of least information. We are not looking at giving our clients a thesis of everything that we've ever learned. We are looking at giving them the streamlined framework that takes them from where they are now to where they want to be. This is not an A to Z of everything. This is not moving you from beginner to expert level. This is about taking those beginner steps and helping them to transition from being a true beginner to becoming a novice. So we need to break down the action steps into micro actions that they can actually feel accomplished when they complete each step. So we break down the complexity, we break down who our program is for, and get hyper focused on a specific range of skill set. We want to make sure that we are limiting the amount of information we're giving them in any one session. So we don't want to give them 10 takeaways in one session, 10 aha moments, because they won't know which one to work on first. They won't know what to do with it. So what we look at instead is actually one key focus per session. This then helps your client to say, this is my focus. These are the steps I need to take to actually achieve this. This next stage of the program, this next stage of the framework. And we want to ensure that every call, every piece of content, every resource has a specific goal and outcome. So they understand why they have to do it. Why is it important? So considering your program, actually, are there areas where you are giving too much? Where you could reduce or streamline the content to make it more digestible, to make it easier for your clients to make the progress that they need to. Now, the second strategy is about visibly tracking progress. Because whether or not you're a visual learner, visual progress mapping or kind of a roadmap is super helpful for helping your clients to know where they're going, the action they need to take, and they can see the wins that they're ticking off. This can look like a spreadsheet with different tabs for different steps of your framework and the list of action steps. It can look like a PDF document that you give them at the start during onboarding. It can look like a printed document that's beautifully created on Canva. You can decide what that looks like for your people, but make it visual. Make it something that they can actually change and tweak things on, tick things off, trigger that change from, in a drop down from to do to done, so they can actually see that they are growing and making progress over time. And we do this by taking the framework that we have, the process that we're walking our clients through, and we break it down into stages. And each of those stages represents a milestone, an achievement that we will celebrate with them when they've done it. Within those milestones, they'll have different action steps they need to complete, and we can celebrate each of those small action steps that they've taken as well. The more we celebrate, the more we shout out their success, the more we show them that we see that they're doing the work and we validate their efforts, the more likely they are to keep going. This can look like automated emails that go out when they've completed a module. It can look like sending them a video voice note that says, you've done amazingly well here. Like, I can see the effort that you've gone through, and this is helping you to progress to your goals. Bringing everything back to why they were here in the first place will keep them motivated for the long haul. And check in with them. Ask them, how are they getting on? Get them to reflect on their progress. Send them a weekly check-in survey. On your group calls, you can see where they're getting on and encourage them to communicate that with you and with their peers. And the final strategy is around boosting relevance. If the content is irrelevant, it's too hard, it's too tricky, it doesn't suit where they're at in their journey, they will disengage. And the first part of this is making sure that your promise is right for the right person. Okay. If we make a promise for everybody, they are not going to necessarily be relevant for everybody. So what we want to do is look at the relevance of every single thing that we are doing and linking it back to their goal, why they joined in the first place. Ask them questions or remind them about where they're heading. Personalize the content, tailor it to fit their goals. So if you know that there's a specific area of your process that they really need to work on, then direct them to that module. Direct them to those specific resources, checklists, templates, scripts, tools that are going to help them to achieve that thing. Put them into accountability groups with their peers who have the same or similar goals so that they feel like they're walking the journey, they're feeling connected in to the community, and they're not going it alone. As soon as they feel like they're going it alone, they will tune out. And at the beginning of every live training, if you're running live training, pre-recorded training, group call, hot seating session, highlight how this is important and relevant. It could be a skill building exercise. It could be a mindset or behavioral shift. It could be forming a new habit. But whatever it is, you need to reflect it back and refer it back to their goal and why they even started. So those are the 3 key strategies for reducing disengagement. And there's lots of other strategies as well. This is really just scratching the surface. But we want to simplify our content, streamline it to ensure that it is not overwhelming. We want to make sure that we are tracking their progress and keeping our finger on the pulse for what that looks like. If we know that a client is not making progress, they're not participating, they've disengaged, and because we're monitoring it, we can actually see that happening in live real time, we can do something about it. We can trigger and activate re-engagement strategies. And then we want to make sure that everything comes back to the goals and the reasons why they joined the program in the first place. Anything that feels irrelevant, they simply won't join in with. A weekly Q&A session has no link to and relevance to a goal. Clients are not going to be motivated to come to a weekly Q&A session. They might not even be motivated to come to a weekly live training session. There has to be a reason behind the touch points that you're putting into your program. We want to make sure that we are consistent in how we deploy these strategies. So it's no good starting off streamlined and then going kind of crazy and giving them too much stuff at the end. There's no point in kind of starting off on progress tracking as they onboard in the first couple of weeks and then losing steam and not bothering to do your weekly check-ins, sending out those emails and surveys and so on. Like, we have to make sure that we are applying these strategies consistently, because otherwise it's kind of a wasted effort and a waste of time. So disengagement is not a reflection of you, your worth, your value that you're giving. I understand the frustrations that you have. I've been there, and so many of my clients have as well. What it comes down to is overwhelm, not knowing whether or not you're winning, and feeling like, actually, this isn't really for me. This isn't the thing that I need. People get taken in by shiny object, big promises, and they don't necessarily see when they come through the other side that it's actually for them. And our job, our responsibility is not to do the work for our clients, but it's to help them to see that the work that we're doing is the thing that they need to move them forward and get them to achieve their goals. Next week, we're going to be looking at actually how do we identify these clients who are overwhelmed? Because sometimes those clients will actually be attending. You will see their beautiful faces on your calls. You'll see them in community, but they're still not actually taking the action that they need to. So we're going to look at how we can identify these overwhelmed clients and how we can reduce the load to help them to participate and to help them to get the results that they came for.